Hello and welcome to our channel. Today we will show you
more about Auckland War Memorial Museum. Auckland Museum's collections are organized into three principal areas: documentary heritage, manuscripts, correspondence and other historical documents and archives, along with pictorial art, the major branches of the natural sciences, and human history, broadly, material culture. The museum maintains a high degree of regional cooperation and complementary collecting with other organizations across Auckland, among them Auckland Libraries, and Auckland Art Gallery Toi o Te Makai, and has done since its inception. The museum's nationally and internationally significant documentary heritage collections comprise manuscripts, ephemera, maps, charts and plans, newspapers and periodicals, rare and contemporary books and pamphlets, photographs, and works of art in the form of paintings, bookplates, and sketches and drawings. Among the areas of significant focus are Maori and Pacific cultures, the human and natural history of the Greater Auckland Region, New Zealanders' involvement in global conflicts, and exploration and discovery. The museum holds the only known extant copy of A Korau no New Zealand, the first book written in the Maori language, published at Sydney in 1815 by the missionary Thomas Kendall. The museum has considerable holdings in historic paintings, rare watercolors, photographs and other artworks. The pictorial collection numbers in the millions, and contains some of the earliest examples of the development of the photographic arts and technology in New Zealand, including calotypes by William Fox Talbot, some of the first known daguerreotypes made in New Zealand, and an ambrotype portrait of the Angpuhi chief Tiwk Anine attributed to John Nicol Crombie. The latter part of the 20th century is substantially represented by the collection of the documentary photographer Robin Morrison, while among the women photographers of note, represented are Una Garlick and Margaret Matilda White. Other collections include the documentary photographs of the Auckland Star and New Zealand Herald newspapers, some work by Arthur Ninnis Brecken and George Bourne, including images made for the Auckland Weekly News, the work of Tudor Washington Collins and John Watt Beatty, and the archive of Sparrow Industrial Pictures. The paintings and drawings collection includes works by Charles Heafy, Gustavus von Tempsky, George French Angus, and John Webster, as well as portraits of Maori by C.F. Goldie and Gottfried Lindauer, and an impressive set of albums by the 19th century clergyman and watercolor artist John Kinder. The museum also has a significant bookplate collection, which contains more than 7,000 plates collected by the renowned Australian scholar Percy Neville Barnett. The manuscripts and archives collection is of major regional importance, and, at approximately 2,000 linear meters, it is one of the largest non-governmental archives in New Zealand. The collection covers large organizational and business archives and smaller personal collections, which record and illustrate New Zealanders' lives within the country and abroad, especially during military service. Among the personal papers held at the museum are 19th century papers relating to the pioneering Williams family and the Reverend Vice Simus Lush, the papers of the politician John Logan Campbell, who has been called the father of Auckland, the mountaineer, explorer and philanthropist Edmund Hillary, and those of the British resident James Busby. In addition, the library also holds the papers of former museum director and curator Thomas Frederick Cheeseman, botanist Leonard Cokayne, librarian and author Johanna C. Anderson, historians Ruth Ross and Jack Lee, I. Potter, writer, and conservationist Barry Brickell. Among the companies and organizations represented in the collection are Crown Lynn Potteries, covering the period 1959-1987, the Martha Gold Mining Company, covering the period 1915-1951, Seed Merchants Arthur Yates & Co., covering the period 1882-1940, Pelrus Press Limited, covering the period 1947-1978, the Farmers Trading Company, covering the period 1909-1987. The collection includes both local and national society records. Some examples include Ornithological Society of New Zealand, Auckland Society of Arts, Auckland Acclimatization Society, Auckland Amateur Operatic Society, Auckland Choral Society, Auckland Studio Potters, Auckland Photographic Society. The library is the repository of the Presbyterian Church records for Auckland and Northland. About 600 manuscripts contain material by or about women. These provide fascinating insights into the lives of both pioneering and contemporary women, and are described in the museum publication Womanscripts, compiled by Sue Laughlin and Carolyn Morris, 1995. Nearly 300 manuscripts are described as being Maori, or having Maori elements. Most of these are recorded in Jennifer Kernow's 1995 book Ang Purahi, a tribal inventory relating to Mori treasures, language, genealogy, songs, history, customs and proverbs. The museum is one of a small number of organizations in New Zealand, which collects and cares for historic maps. The map collection contains large sequences of official New Zealand maps, WWII-era military maps, subdivision plans, and other material, including atlases, which helps record and provide evidence of early New Zealand development. There is also a small collection of significant maps, relating to the discovery and exploration of the Pacific Ocean and islands by Europeans, dating from before 1800. Serials were the first collection items ordered by the Auckland Institute, when it was formed in 1867. There are approximately 4,500 historical and current titles in the assemblage, excluding electronic journals. The extent, and in some cases uniqueness, of the museum's holdings of historical and current journals makes their research value of national importance. The museum holds the country's most significant collection of Auckland newspapers, based on a 1967 donation by Wilson and Horton of their historical Auckland newspapers, dating from the early 1840s and supplemented by individual donations. The museum contributes to the research site Papers Past, as well as to the national network of institutions that hold historical newspapers. The museum's own business and research archives, covering its governance, curation, exhibitions, education, publishing, building development and maintenance, and internal management, are housed alongside the above, and are accessed by way of the Museum Library TPT aka MTPUNO, one of the country's leading heritage research libraries. The library's collections of books and other publications are focused on New Zealand subject areas, and are developed chiefly to support curatorial work and collecting, but also feature significant holdings of Mori language material, and an impressive collection of rare books, including 16th-century herbals and florilegia, and many rare volumes on conchology. In addition, there exists an extensive collection of ephemera, built for the most part on donations from private collectors starting in the 19th century. The museum's natural sciences collections are principally a research and reference assemblage that provides information on the distribution and morphology of plant, animal and mineral species in New Zealand and the regional Pacific. The museum stores and exhibits 1.5 million natural history specimens from the fields of botany, entomology, geology, land vertebrates and marine biology. A K is the Index Herbariorum code for the Auckland War Memorial Museum. The herbarium contains a number of collections, from significant botanists including Thomas Cheeseman, curator, 1874, 1923, and Captain James Cook's botanists, Joseph Banks and Daniel Solander. The herbarium holds over 333,000 botanical specimens, including 200,000 angiosperms, 5,000 gymnosperms, 30,000 pteridophytes, 21,500 mosses, 12,300 liverworts, 22,000 algae, 27,200 lichens, and 1,000 timber samples. The museum also holds a substantial collection of Kori gum, and a specialist collection of fern books, bound collections of ferns made by amateurs and professionals, along with a small wet collection, specimens preserved in liquid, of flowers, fruit and algae. The entomology collection contains about 250,000 catalogued specimens and, while focused on the northern areas of New Zealand, includes important collections ranging from Three Kings Islands to the sub-Antarctic islands. It is part of a national and international network, and aims to contain a comprehensive reference collection of all insect types as well as other terrestrial and freshwater invertebrates, worms, spiders, millipedes and centipedes, some isopods and amphipods, from the New Zealand region. This includes both native and introduced species. Its importance lies in the ability to support research into the biodiversity of New Zealand's terrestrial invertebrates, particularly beetles, moths and parasitic wasps, and their contribution to complex ecologies. Foreign collections of beetles and butterflies feature also, for comparative and educational value. In 2009, the museum acquired a collection of butterflies and books about butterflies bequeathed by the late Ray Shannon, a private collector whose interest in lepidopterology began while he was stationed in the Solomon Islands during the Second World War. The collection contains about 13,000 specimens of just under 3,000 species and subspecies. The geology collection was originally focused on material from the Wee, Thames and Coromandel gold fields. through deliberate collecting by the museum's geologists as well as those donated by private collectors. It has been augmented by volcanic specimens of research and historical interest. The collection of around 12,000 specimens contains a number of nationally significant materials and supports research work and collections held at other museums, universities and Crown Research Institutes.
The paleontology collection was established in the early 1900s and, with more than 20,000 specimen lots, is one of the largest collections of fossil invertebrates in New Zealand. Its importance lies in its ability to contribute understanding of evolutionary change, past biodiversity, and the record of dynamic change during the past 65 million years with rapid submergence and uplift at various times during New Zealand's geological history. Past climate change and the significance of glacial cycles and oscillation are reflected in the specimens and their associated data as well.
Don't forget to like and subscribe our channel, keep visiting our videos and make sure to drop your comment for the upcoming amazing content.